Hey everybody, Steve Billman here. Thanks for joining me. Hey, today we continue with our advanced rhythm study concepts. And today we're going to apply a 5 over 3 pattern to a groove, to a bass groove. So we've talked about the concept of these polyrhythms in other videos, but now we're actually going to apply it to an actual groove. And what we're going to do is this metric modulation. We're going to go between an A groove, which is going to be like a regular 16 note groove, to this B groove, which is actually going to be the 5 over 3 pattern. So we're going to go back and forth between these two grooves. And what we're going to find is that the speed of each one of them are different because one's going to be based off of 16th notes, the A groove, and then one's going to be based off of the quintuplet, which is the B groove. And we're going to go back and forth between those two. This is going to help us with our inner clock. It's going to help us with polyrhythms, obviously. And at first, it's going to be a little challenging, but once you do it, it's once you do it for a while, you start to feel it, and it'll be more of a feel thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break each groove down, and then we're going to try to put those grooves together in this video. Okay? All right. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the A groove. So we're going to, and just to remind you guys, I have a 5 string, but I have a high C on it and a low E. So when I'm playing my low string, it's an E string, not a B string. You can also play this on a 6 string, and somewhat it'll sound somewhat better because we're going to do some hammering on with the open string. And an A to a D sounds better than an E to a D. But when we get it up to the regular tempo, it sounds kind of cool with the open E as well. So I'm going to play it with the open E because I want everybody to play this, that, whether you have a 6 string or not. I want people with 4 strings to be able to play it. But if you have a 6 string, you can play it in this position as well. There's other positions you can play it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, let me tell you first, the time signature is going to be 3/4. So both of these grooves, the A groove and the B groove, will both be in 3/4. So our first note is going to be a pickup, and it's going to be an open E, and then that's going to be the last 16th of for the pickup. Then it's going to hit a D on the downbeat, and we're going to hammer that D on. So I'm hitting an open E. On my 10th fret, I'm playing a D. And again, I'm not slapping it, I'm just hammering on. Then I'm going to, with my thumb, I'm going to play the A on the 12th fret. Okay. And then with my first finger, I'm going to pluck the F on the G string. Okay. And each one of these patterns, if you need to practice for, in broken sections, that's fine. If you just want to practice this for a minute, that's cool. And then I'm going to hit the open E again. So, right? And I'm going to hammer on the D one more time. So if you want to practice that, you can do that. I'm basically going to do this first pattern twice. So that'll take up 2 beats. These are 16 notes that I'm playing. Okay, so that's the idea. Then after I play that F, I'm going to hit the E one more time. So, okay. And again, it's going to sound a little different if you play it here. Again, that A is a little sweeter as far as the working with the D. But again, we're going to play this fast enough to where you're not really going to hear the D, and eventually you can do it just more as like a dead note even if you wanted to. But I'm going to go back to the original way I was playing it. Okay, and then we hit that E one more time, and then after I hit that E, I land on a C on my E string. So, okay, and again, that's a hammer on. Then above it, I pluck on the E. So it's a 10th, the C on the bottom, the E, and they're ringing together. I want them to ring together. Right? I'll do it one more time. Okay? Now, those have to ring together, and they have to keep ringing together, because what I'm going to do then is once I do that, I'm going to slide it down. And then I'm playing a B flat and a D. And again, I'm not restriking it. I'm just hitting it. I'm just hitting that one time, and then I'm sliding it down. So. Okay, so that's the A pattern. And again, they're all 16 notes except for the C. The C is an eighth note. All right, take it back. They're all 16 notes, yeah, because I'm playing those separate. Okay, so that's the pattern. And then after I do the slide, I'm hitting the E again, leading back to the beginning of the phrase. Right? Okay. So that's the A section pattern. Again, you want to spend some time just with that pattern, with the click, and get it comfortable before you move on to the B pattern. I had this a little faster. I'm going to take it down a little bit so I can show you the groove with the click. 1, 2, 3. Let me do that again. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit. This is the click at 44 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's the basic idea of the pattern. Now, this groove, again, we want to play probably eventually between 50 and 60 beats, probably more like 55, but somewhere in that area. If it gets too fast, you can play it faster, but it gets a little bit frantic, especially when we get to the 5/3 part. But right now we're doing it at 44 beats per minute. If you need to do that slower, then that's totally fine as well. Okay, let's learn the B riff now. So on the B riff, this eventually is going to produce the 5/3. So right now, let's just play it sort of with the concept of triplets, if you will. We're not playing triplets eventually, or ultimately, but for now, if you want to think of it in terms of triplets, it's fine. So on my D string, I'm pulling a C, and then I'm going to hammer that onto the D, right? And then I'm going to hit a lower D after that. So. And then I'm going to hit an F, that same F I hit before. So. And then I go back to a D. And with the D, I'm hitting it with my thumb, and then I'm pulling it off to a C. So. Okay, that's the first part of it. So after I do that, then I hit the C again with the hammer on, and then a low D. Okay, so again, ready, and one more time, ready, and then I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to go to where the C is, the 10th. Okay, and I'm going to go C, E, C, B flat, D, B flat. So boop, bop, boop, boop, bop, boop. Okay. So from the top, so again, in terms of what we're doing right now, that's feeling more like a triplet, and that's okay. To get the feel, the basic feel and sort of the notes, that's okay to play it that way. Even with a click, if you want to do that with a click, that's fine, just to kind of solidify what it is. But ultimately, that's not what we're going to play. So let me get into the 5/3, the breaking up of the 5/3. I've talked about this in other videos, but just, in case you didn't see those or you missed it, um, let me just sort of break it down. So with the quintuplet now, what we're going to do is we're still in 3/4 time, but instead of 16 notes, which are 4 notes in the space of one beat, we're going to use quintuplets. So that means 5 notes in the space of each beat. So there will be 15 quintuplets in the space of a measure of 3/4 time. Okay, so that's going to basically give us 15 notes. Well, you can break those notes up either into the multiplication of 5 times 3. So you could have 5 notes in the space of one quintuplet, right? Which you have 3 of those. So 5 times 3, that would equal 15. But you can also have 3 and 5 times 5 equal 15. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take those 3 groups of quintuplets, right? Now we're going to phrase those 5 notes in groups of 3. And what's going to happen is when you do that, that's instead of giving you 3 accents, da de gaina dom da de gaina dom da de, those are 3 accents. It's going to give us 5 accents. So 3 times 5 then is going to equal 15 as well. So at the end of the measure, we're going to come out in the next measure at the exact same place, but we're going to do it with this polyrhythm because we're rephrasing or regrouping the quintuplet. Okay, so that's the basic concept with these polyrhythm patterns. Okay, all right, so the first thing we have to do then is we have to figure out where the quintuplet is. And at slower tempo, actually, it's harder. There it is. Now, you could just count 5 beats, but I like to use the Indian counting because what happens is when we switch, you're going to see when we switch from one syllable of Indian counting to another, we're actually going to create the polyrhythm without even having to think about it. All we have to do is keep the speed of the quintuplet, but change the group, the syllable, and that'll give us the 5/3. So I like to say with this grouping, da de gina dom, da de gina dom. Okay, you can do it any way you want, really, but again, I like to use the Indian counting. So da de gina dom, 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 da de gina dom. Now, when I change that, da de gina dom, when I change that into the syllables for 3 notes, which you could say a triplet, which is takite, but I keep the speed of the quintuplet, that will give me the 5 accents in the one bar. So let me see if I can do it. Da de gaina dom, da de gaina dom, da de gaina dom, da de gaina. Takite, 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 takite. Takite, 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 ta. Okay, so again, all I'm doing is I'm taking what is established as the quintuplet, which is a group of 5 notes in one beat. I'm keeping the speed of that. I'm not changing the speed, but I'm changing the syllable or the grouping. going from 5 notes per beat. Now I'm changing into groups of 3, and that's giving me 5 accents, and then the resolution is on the next bar. And again, the syllables for the group of 5, the quintuplet, da, de, gina, dom. For changing to the 3 group, taki, te. Those 2 syllables will establish where the 5 is with the da, de, gina, dom, and then the taki, te will give us the polyrhythm. Okay, so I want you to start just practicing that first. Just find, first thing is turn the click on, find where the 5 is, use the syllable da, de, gina, dom, and then once you get comfortable with that grouping, that quintuplet, then try to break it up into the taki, te, the groupings of 3. And again, you're going to be playing against against the metronome. But I'll show you in a couple minutes when we do the riff, I'll show you how you can still use the metronome to kind of keep your place as far as where you are in the bar, okay? All right, so that's the concept of just the counting part of it. Now, what we have to do is we have to then apply the riff to that concept. So again, let me establish the quintuplet. Da, de, gina, dom, da, de, gina, dom, da, de, gina, dom. Couple more times. Okay, now what you'll find is as you do that, I'm obviously playing against the beat, but when I get to this E, right? When I hit that E, that should be aligned with the 3rd click. So the last beat of the measure, that E should align with that. So what I do is I try to sort of, I'm always listening to the click and how it's relating to what I'm playing. And then I'm listening for that 3rd click to line up with my E. And if it doesn't, then I know that it's a little skewed and I need to either, if it's behind it or in front of it, I need to adjust a little bit. Okay. But that's it, is I'm still listening to what the click is doing, even though I'm not using it as a babysitter. It's not showing me it's showing me where the downbeats are, but I'm not relating to the downbeats. I'm still relating to it. And this is going to help our inner clock, you guys. And what you'll find too as you do this, the groove is going to be really heavy. It's a really nice groove. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it up to 55 to the tempo it should be at, and I'm going to play this pattern for you. Okay, let's try the pattern. 16 notes, let me find them. 1, 2, 3. Letter B. Okay, so you can see that it is a challenge to go between those two. I mean, I was having to adjust a little bit as I was going through. But that's the idea, is you want to go from the A feel to the B feel as smooth and seamless as you possibly can. And the biggest part is because the A is a little, the speed of the A is a little slower than the speed of the B. you have to make sure that you're adjusting to the click, right? Because you're going from 16 notes to quintuplets that are really phrased in threes. So there's adjustments that you have to make as you play these two different patterns. But that's the fun part of it, is that sometimes you get it and sometimes you can't. So it's something that for myself I've been playing a long time, but I still need to work on it. So there you go. I hope this challenges you. I'm sure it will. And thanks for watching, you guys, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.